Yo, what's goody? It's Spirit in the building. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Kueen Talk. You guys, please make sure to hit that subscribe button for the YouTube channel. We are so close to hitting that 100. So keep spreading the word. Keep spreading the word. Our special guest today is Valerie.
Hello. Yes.
Valerie.
Yeah,
How are
I
you
get
doing,
that all the
Valerie?
time. I'm doing
How are
really
you
well.
doing? Thank you for joining me today. I You heard from Elliot. I feel like you're the second person that has watched Elliot's episode and said that's how you found it. So shout out
Yeah, I've
Elliot.
yeah, shout out Elliot for sure. I've known of Elliot for quite a few years, like been just like social media and friends and everything. I don't think we've ever really met in person. But
Oh,
he posted the link after his episode came out to like register, and I was like, "Hey, yeah, I'm queer. Let me tell you about
yeah,
my experience."
for sure. And if you just want to give the audience a little intro about yourself, name,
Yeah, I'm
ethnicity, where you're
Valerie.
from.
Valerie Walling is my full name. Everybody calls me Val. I also do go by Star or Star Lover. It's an old high school nickname that some people still know me by. I am a very mix of ethnicities. I'm white, Native American, and Mexican, even though I really just look white. But yeah, I'm born and raised in Wichita, Kansas, never really left, so I've always been here.
And you identify as polyamorous, right? Or no, pansexual. Pansexual.
Pansexual. Yep. I'm
Okay.
pansexual. Non-binary for the moment. Always changing. But yeah, I'm pretty half and half. I like to be feminine and masculine. The non-binary is the route for right now.
Nice. And you said you're AFAB when you signed
Yeah.
up and
So I'm currently trying to kind of start myself into the drag scene here in town. I kind of just go with like the term drag performer right now since I'm doing a mix of like half feminine, half masculine, so like queen and king kind of thing. But
okay.
for that, it would be an AFAB drag queen kind of thing, which would be a female at birth drag queen, assigned female at birth. So we are. I'm trying anyway to
Okay.
get that started and off the ground.
That's nice. So have you done it before? Have you been in like the drag world before?
I have to an extent. I used to be a hardcore member of going to Boomerang all the time when it was open. I would go to like almost every show there. I just haven't performed before. I've always really respected anybody that performs in any kind of drag. I think it's really cool, a great art to express yourself. And I have some friends that are into the community and do drag and stuff. We're like, hey, you would be really good at drag. You're really out there and outgoing and loud and fabulous. So you should do that. And I was like, yeah, I'll think about it. And then I thought about it for a couple months and I started, before I knew it, I was like ordering outfits and making up a
Nice.
whole plan and God, and like my friends helped me pick out a name. And so it's still like pretty new in the works, but like I'm I'm almost
S-
there.
Good. So when do you want to start? Like when do you want to be like, all right, this is your first show. We're entering Pride Month. We're in Pride Month right now. So
No.
you
I was
gonna
going to
do your
try to
debut this
do.
month or
I really wanted to. Unfortunately, I do have a surgery coming up in 2 weeks that it will put me out of commission for a couple weeks after that. So I was gonna try to debut at a local like variety show
Mhm.
on June 21st. Shout out to my friend Mel, who's putting on the show. There's a bunch of great performers and different artists for all kinds of things at that show. And one other drag performer, but since my surgery, I will just not be healed from it, so I won't be
Yeah.
able to do it. So I'm hoping after I get healed, hopefully finding a different show to hopefully get into maybe late July, early August.
Yeah, well, that's exciting that you're getting that started though. I mean, figuring out a passion, that's you have to have a personality for that. That's for sure. You can't be shy when it comes to
You
drag.
can't, no. You gotta kind of be out there and in people's faces, and I'm always kind of that friend. So
Yeah, I had a guess. I was like, you should just try it one time. I was like, oh, I could probably do that, but then I thought about it after the episode. I was like, yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm a pretty shy person unless I have a few drinks in me. Then I can get a little loose. Like, I can do karaoke,
Yeah.
but that's not putting on a performance. I'm literally just standing there. I'm not walking around like asking for dollars. Like, it's a
Yeah.
completely different dynamic.
See, and I'm kind of weird. I really think I'll do really well with the drag and like being kind of out there, but like I won't do karaoke. But also it's because I don't think I sing all that well, so that was
Oh,
kind
I
of
don't
like
either. That's what karaoke's for. That's what karaoke's for. Until you get those people that are really good, you don't want to go after them. The ones that apply to go on American Idol and stuff. It's like, yeah, no,
yeah,
I'm
and
not there
that's
yet.
always been my thing is like I have such great friends that sing really well. So I'm like I can't get up there after you. I sound like a cow. Like
Yeah,
with strep throat, you know? Like I can't do that. You
yeah.
just serenaded this whole building. Like
No, next time you go, you need to get up there. Just do it. Just do it. If you can do drag, just do the karaoke.
I
Just do it.
yeah, I should. I mean, a couple people from the Rusty Nail here in Wichita. They've seen it a couple times.
Yeah,
I've gotten drunk enough and they're like
yeah. That's all you need. Just a
convinced me to
little
get up
liquid
there.
courage. Just a
Yeah.
little liquid courage. And I honestly, AFAB is that's new to me with like seeing or even like hearing someone do both sides of the show, like being
Yeah.
masculine doing that and then dressing up in drag.
Yeah, it was a new term to me, definitely when I like started looking into doing drag a couple months ago. I didn't quite know what the terminology would be for me. I didn't even know at that point that like people that were assigned female at birth did drag. Like
Hmm.
except for being a drag king. So I didn't know there were like AFAB queens out there, and yeah, it opened up a whole world for me. And that obviously they're just as stunning as all queens are, you know? But yeah, I identify in such a like 50-50 middle ground between masculine and feminine that I just thought like, being able to express myself doing drag, doing both is really fun. And experimenting like with drawing on like facial hair and stuff has been super fun and actually like eye opening for me as like a journey into my own identity and like having kind of like almost like a little midlife crisis about it too. I've been very confident in my sexuality since I was a very young child,
When
and
was that for you? Like when how long has that been?
I, mom, I would tell people I was gay at the age of like 5 or 6, and it
Mm,
never stopped.
okay.
And then it definitely, yeah, that was always just something I knew my whole life was I was gay of some sort. Um, I think my first pride was like, I believe I was like 9 or 10 years old. So I mean, like as a teenager and stuff, was definitely in all the pride marches, any protests for gay rights. I was almost always there for the ones here in Wichita, especially in high school. I was real, I was real serious about getting my right to marry a lady, you know? And I remember the day that that was legalized. I was in my photography class in high school. I went to Southeast, and it was at the old building over there on Edgemore and Harry. And I was with my photography teacher, who was the like teacher in charge of our Gay Straight Alliance. And I helped get that club off the ground a lot when I was in high school. And we got the news of it, and we both just started crying. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
just such a great moment for us. It's sad that we're fighting even harder for different and the same equality now, but
right. Yeah,
I,
fighting to
I,
keep those
I,
rights.
yeah, and especially like as somebody that, I'm not personally trans, but I love my trans brothers and sisters more than anybody else on this planet, and
Hmm.
man, the shit they go through drives me wild.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot going on right now for sure.
Yeah.
Just fighting to keep rights. You're completely right about that.
And just
Uh,
basic human decency at that as well. Like it's definitely a crazy time to be alive.
yeah, definitely got to vote. Vote.
Yes. I will
Vote.
tell anybody, please vote. Please. Like
Yeah.
even if you don't know what you're doing, at least vote for somebody that wants what we want, that believes in us
See,
having rights.
Yeah, I think you got to do your research a little bit too, though. Like,
Yeah.
figure out, like, don't just listen to what someone says, but like, you have the
Yeah.
right to vote, and that's the only way. Like, that's why the system works. It's like you vote, and if whoever you vote for, or whatever state, you got to go to the right states. You got to watch what state you move to these
Oh yeah,
days.
for
So,
sure. I have a lot of friends in Oklahoma, and I feel for them so hard sometimes, especially after that last incident with Next Benedict.
yeah,
There at a school in Oklahoma that was a crushing moment for all of my friends that are in the trans community down in Oklahoma, and I don't blame them. And luckily, I mean, they're all out of school, but those poor kids that are in school still in really in any state, but I
yeah.
don't know why it's so bad in Oklahoma, but it is, and it's just all kids should be safe in school. Like it's just
Yeah.
a
And you
matter of
started
fact.
the GSA that was at Southeast, which
Yes.
GSAs do help out a lot, having that club for students to go to. So I know I used to internship with Glisson, Kansas. So Glisson used to just like work closely with all the GSAs that were in any school that wanted to be a part of it, have an ally.
Hmm.
Glisson, Kansas was there. So I understand
Yeah.
just like having that environment within the school and your teachers who are supportive as well, it makes a big difference.
Yeah, and I was really glad when I was in high school at Southeast that I was able to be such a big part of that group because it had already been established there at our school, but nobody was a part of it.
Yeah, you still got to
So they
spread the
didn't,
word.
yeah, we didn't have any members or anything, and my teacher had just told me about it. I was like, well, what the heck? Like, I'll make posters, I'll slap them around school. Like, I will go, harass people to come be in this club after on lunch break and stuff because, like, yeah, it's a good cause. And I mean, yeah, ours was pretty small. Unfortunately, I mean, I graduated in 2017. Um, but even then, I mean, it was still always a pretty small group. I don't think even in 2017, I mean, it was acceptable more obviously to be in the
Mhm.
community, but it was still kind of a stigmatized thing, and especially at Southeast.
Definitely.
I mean, we had people that were confident, like myself, that were out and proud and loud about it, but then there were definitely others that were like,
Yeah. And it's
I'm gonna,
2024 and it's still that way. It's still that way.
yeah.
Like, still got
I'm
a
like,
long ways to go.
yeah, and I mean, I'm always grateful that it's better than it was for like for say me. I mean, I was always out and proud to most people growing up, but I officially came out to like school members and people I'd been going to school with when I was about 11 or 12 in middle school. I remember middle school was a very tough time for me. A lot of hate crime going on. I was hate crimed a lot at school. Even at Southeast into my freshman year, it actually never stopped until about my sophomore year of high school. It was a journey.
What support did you have within the school when that was going on?
I sadly did not have much support. I went to Coleman Middle School, um, and I will hope that it's better now. But with the years I was there, I mean, I have so many stories about times of being sent to the principal's office with severe injuries, honestly. I remember once I had like gotten a little rainbow piece of a hair extension glued into my hair. And somebody knew that that was because like it was a pride thing for me. And they ran past me, grabbed it, and pulled my hair out of my scalp to pull that out of my hair. Obviously, that hurt. I was bleeding. I was injured. They called my parents and they just told me to go home for the day. And there's so many instances like that. And even
And there was no
into being,
consequences for
oh
the
no, not at all. The worst one I ever had was being hit upside the head with one of those really big math textbooks in the middle of math class. And I had like a gash on the back of my head from it, and me and the two girls that did it to me got sent to the principal's office, and the principal literally sat there and told those girls that they needed to go easy on me because I was pretty much soft, and that if they were going to bully me, they needed to do it a little bit less. And I remember that was the day that my mom came up there very, very heated because God bless my mother. She's always been my biggest supporter with stuff like this. And she never let it slide, that's for sure. She was always the one to
That's good.
cause a scene about it. So
Good. That's a scene
when
needed to be had. Like, definitely, hopefully, like you said, it's gotten a lot better because you're there trying to learn. The adults are there to be protectors and educators. So,
and yeah, and I know for some kids like next it hasn't gotten better, but I think overall what from what I've heard from having like nephews and stuff of school age that it is so much better.
good.
Thankfully, and especially in Wichita public schools, I've heard it's a lot better and there's a lot more allies in the school system. But yeah, I mean, even into like I said, my freshman year of high school, I still got bullied pretty good in my freshman year of high school. And I will equate that to that was the first time I really had like an identity crisis, and I did do a really hard switch from being super feminine to super masculine. I always call it my, I mean, not everybody's favorite word, but like I call it my dyke phase, like my, mask lesbian phase, because that's what it was. And
Yeah.
I didn't pull it off well. I, shaved off all my hair and I
Oh,
overdid it.
you went to the extreme.
I overdid it with the, Old Spice and the Axe body spray and wore, like skater boy shoes and yeah, that was a big change. And I started my freshman year of high school like that. And wow, yeah, it didn't go great. I'll tell you
Yeah.
that. And I mean, I still obviously, like I said, I like doing the half femme, half mask and stuff. But yeah, that wound up getting me. Again, thank you to my mom, but she got called into school, and my principal handed her transfers papers and was like, "Hey, we're not going to kick out the kid that's beating up your daughter, but she can just leave." And my mom, once again, caused the scene and was like, "My daughter's not leaving." But you will
Right.
be handling this. And I mean, sure enough, they did. I mean, I don't quite know what they did. I don't know if they just talked to her or what, but the girl that was doing it, she didn't last too much longer at that school. And then I had a great time at Southeast after that, thankfully. So,
Jeez, it sounds like your mom has been there for a lot and just
oh
like been
yeah.
by your side. You said you knew in like when you were 5, you were telling your mom or these people
Oh
these
yeah.
things, and you went to Pride at such a young age. Was your mom
Yeah.
taking you to these events? And
I believe it was my older sister that took me to my first Pride. We're 8 years apart, so I believe she was like 18, and I was about 10 when we went to our first ones, because she always had friends too that, probably helped influencing me and make me feel comfortable in saying those things at a young age too, is because they were openly out and proud, and
okay.
I would see it and be like, yeah, this is great, and so they dragged me along to stuff.
Nice, nice. So your sister had those peers over that made you see that representation. So you've seen representation from the queer community at a young age.
Yeah, it's always been there for me, from my sister's friends to, even some family members that I've had, other family members that have been queer. I do always put high praise on one of my stepsisters as well. She didn't come out until a lot later in life, and I always give her great praise on being so um, confident and being so, hell bent on being herself, that she came out as trans late into her 40s.
That's
Um,
awesome.
yeah,
I've had a guest on here and they were they're like in their 30s, so like 36, and it just happened for them a few years ago, and we're just talking about age doesn't matter. Like it just
doesn't.
do it. Just do it.
Yeah, I even remind myself of that all the time. My best friend, one of my best friends, Lucas, he reminds me all the time, because I'll have like little moments where I'm like, I don't know how I feel today, how I want to dress. Like, I feel very conflicted sometimes. And I'll have like this urge of like, I need to transition into something like right now. And he's like, dude, you have so much time. chill out. Like, you're never too old to transition. Just ride the waves, man.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Lean
like you're,
into it
yeah.
and yeah, definitely don't rush into things for sure. When did you know like you were like fluid with your identity? Like when did that come about?
I really want to say that I always kind of knew for a sense. Like anybody that probably knew me in school, I was always the kid that I was always super quiet until like high school. Um, but one thing I never stood for was like you could bully me all day and I probably wasn't going to do anything, but God forbid you bullied my one friend I had. Oh, you were going to get it. And it was always, the boys in school. And I remember being pretty young, I think like probably fourth or fifth grade. And my go to catchphrase was always, you don't know what's in my pants. So just like fight me anyway. Um, because like the boys would always be like, well, I can't hit a girl. And I'd be like, good thing you don't know what's in my pants. Put them up. Like, and I
Ready to
think that's
go.
a, yeah. And I think that's like even just a sign to me that I was like, it doesn't matter, like I feel both ways. Like just because you're a dude doesn't mean I'm not gonna hit you, and vice versa. I think if you're wanting to put your hands on somebody, here's somebody to do it, and I still ride that rule as an adult.
Yeah. What did your mom say to you? Like what did you do to like say I'm a part of the community now? Like at in middle school, did you have a conversation with your mom or your sister?
I definitely remember. It's very vague memory, but I remember having like a moment where I was like scared to come out, because I was like, oh, I don't know how, like I know my sister's cool with it, and I'd talk to her about it, and she'd be cool with it, and she'd tell me that our, parents would be cool with it, but I was like, I don't know, like, I remember
Still
finally
have
telling my
that
mom, yeah, and I remember finally telling my mom, and her just being like, dude, I've known since you were 5, like, what are you talking about? And I was like, oh, okay, cool, never mind, carry on. And both my dad and my stepdad are pretty much the same way. They're just like, yeah, I don't, whatever, do what you want, man.
pretty lax about it. That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's what we want. Like that's to be like we all
yeah,
get like amped up or anticipate this negative answer when it can be just a simple okay, like I knew. Let's
yeah.
move on.
And it was like, I'm very grateful to have that experience because I know I have friends that, have been kicked out of their homes and have
Mhm.
had, abusive comebacks about it from their own family. And that's, my heart breaks for them because that's not how you should ever treat a child. Like, that's your child. You should love them to no
Right.
end. And especially like, I will always say that I'm super grateful and blessed because I was adopted at birth. So, my parents
Okay.
chose me. They didn't have to take care of me, and they did, and
Yeah.
they've done a fantastic job.
Yeah, awesome. That's cool. Now, this is a side note, sidebar, because I thought of Peyton. Because are you and Peyton siblings, or is that just
um,
like social media siblings? Just like you guys are really close.
Peyton Lewis.
Yeah.
We used to be really close friends when we were younger. I haven't talked to him in
Okay.
quite a few years.
Okay. Well, when we became friends on social media, it was like it seemed like you guys were brother and sister. I was like, I didn't even know we had a like. Wait, I
Yeah,
didn't know that was a thing.
yeah, him and a whole group of people, like they all they're like my second family. With him, I haven't talked to him in a while. But like Mary Jane McBee, um, Xenon Flows, aka Billy McBee Jr. Those are my family. Their mom has always been a mom to me.
Cool.
I've known all of them since I was like 15, and they're all younger than me. So like that's, I don't know, they were pretty young.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
I just had to ask you about that because I seen that you were talking about
yeah,
family, but yeah. So
yeah, they're like my, I call them my maid family, because I was adopted, so I have
nice.
like birth family, and then the family I grew up with, and then my maid family that I just, they are always gonna be here. So
Yeah.
even when we
So
fight, I mean, we're like siblings. Like if we fight about something, yeah, we might talk for a couple months, but man, if you needed something, you could still call them.
yeah, for sure, for sure. And Peyton's a good guy. Shout out Peyton.
He is.
Um,
He is. Very proud of
did
him and how he's come
yeah,
in life.
yeah. with your mom and your dad, did you feel like it was a different reaction, or was there the same reaction when you told them that you're fluid in your identity, or was that a discussion?
It really wasn't a discussion. It was just like I just came out as non-binary like earlier this year, just to put an official like label on it. I did that earlier this year, and I didn't really tell too many people about it. Like I didn't really even mention it to my best friends all that much because
Hmm,
like I don't mind what pronouns are used.
okay.
I will do she, her, they, them, he, him. I'm comfortable with all of them. So I'm not going to be like, if you call me a she, I'm not going to get upset about it. Yeah, because that is still half of my identity. So that's
Hmm.
fine. The same way as if you called me sir, or dude, or bro, or whatever, like, all right, perfect, let's go. Like, I
Yeah.
say all the terms in relation to myself all the time. So
Nice. What's your dating life like? So I've had a guest on here previously, and they were just saying how being pansexual is kind of hard to date. But
it
what's your experience?
It really is kind of difficult. I will say my dating experience has been a little odd, especially because it goes in terms of how I've associated. Like, I was from like 5 years old to 17, I was hell bent that I only liked girls. And so
Mm.
I'd only dated girls. Um, and of course, those were like, middle school, high school relationships. Nothing super serious went on. And then I hit 18, and from 18 to about like 23, I kind of did a full like flip and only dated cis men. And that was a little weird because,
It's a big
I am,
change.
yeah, it was a big change. I really can't say that I enjoyed it all that much, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
I in the last couple years have definitely realized that uh, my attraction to people lies definitely more in people that are also a part of the LGBTQ plus community. If you're not a part of that in some way, I don't resonate with people as much. It is something that is very important to me that you understand the struggles of being in the community and like not having rights and, you know, being kind of abused for just loving another person. And that's kind of crazy. But yeah, it's definitely hard. And I feel like being in the middle of Kansas makes it quite a bit harder, especially for me. My main attraction does lie with the transgender community. I do overall have a preference of transgender males and females, just because of the way they are as beings is just, I think, always superb. They're awesome people. And yeah, they always, I don't know, I feel like I vibe with them on such a different level of
Yeah.
understanding of like yourself and having that kind of internal conflict of like what you want to look like and not really liking how you are in your own body and kind of feeling like, yeah, I like my body, but like not all really don't. And kind of, I feel like an imposter kind of. So they always really understand that. And so I've always um, had like my best friend and everything.
So you said you have like kind of like body dysphoria. Does
I
that
do.
okay? So have you ever felt like, we've talked earlier and you were saying like don't do anything so soon, like transitioning or whatnot.
Yeah.
So have you had those feelings of you just like, maybe, is that why you've come to the conclusion you're just fluid right now with both?
Yeah, is kind of why I've kind of just stuck in the fluid kind of middle area for right now is I'm still in a place of like some days I wake up and I wish that I was born a man and I wish I was born in a male's body and I really wish I didn't have like, my female parts. And then other days I wake up and I'm like, no, I really like being feminine and I really like how I look today, but it's such a like 50-50 toss up.
Yeah.
I've definitely found ways of having like euphoric feeling of how I look between like being pretty 50-50 between like just even just clothes.
Yeah.
and just the way I wear my hair and stuff. And like my newest favorite found thing is tying my what is pretty long hair up into a really awesome mohawk.
Okay.
And
Tying it
that's,
into a mohawk, like
yeah,
that takes time. That takes time.
but it's so worth it. But yeah, it's just little stuff like that that I am slowly make that makes me really happy.
Mhm.
And kind of, everything changes day to day. So, maybe a couple years down the road, I will transition, or I won't, or, everything's able to change. And I think that's what's great about it. And also, like how people always say, take your time is like, yeah, you don't want to rush into it. I do have
Right.
friends that I knew in like middle school and high school and stuff that did transition very, very quickly at, a pretty young age. And yeah, a couple of them did grow up to, not fully regret the decision, but, they did think they did it too fast. So I'm always a number one supporter of anybody that's transitioning, like, hey, let's take this one step at a time,
For
because
sure.
you never want to do too much too fast, with anything.
Yeah, I think your approach is great. Like, I mean, from the just like hearing it, it's like you're just trying to figure it out right now. There's no need
Yeah,
to rush. And I think someone is going to watch this and resonate with that. Like they're feeling away, but maybe they feel the pressure to do it so soon. So they're
yeah,
just take the step back like you and just be fluid with it right now, just doing other things with the clothes, your
yeah.
hair,
and
whatever it
and
may
doing
be.
whatever, whatever you want, really, like me and my friends are gonna do I have a photo shoot tomorrow with my best friends for Pride, and as my birthday is in
Nice.
Pride month, so we are doing a birthday photo shoot tomorrow with our Pride flags and everything, and I will be taking pictures in my drag for the first time, and then we will also actually be going
Ooh.
to XY, and I will be out in public in my drag for the first time.
Tomorrow? Tomorrow?
Yeah.
Or all
Yeah,
right, all
tomorrow.
right.
June 1st, kicking it off strong.
Yes, yes. I'm sure there's a few things. Is XY having an event or something going on?
Not sure. That is just me and my friends, one of our favorite spots to go. Because
Okay.
we can,
Oh, so you
it's
mess with XY heavy. You're an
every
XY
once in a
goer.
while. I'm not too, it's like a couple times a year situation.
Oh, okay,
Um,
okay.
I'm a more of like a passive, like range cafe goer.
Got you,
I like
got
the
you.
more chill vibes.
Chill.
I'm not a huge clubber, but when we want to have a, kind of a moment, a slay moment as we call it, we'll go
Yeah.
pop off there.
Nice. Now, you spoke about like with your relationship wise, they need to be people a part of the queer community. Is that the same with your friend group as well? Do you
Yeah,
find
it
yourself
is.
hanging?
It is for the most part. I mean, I do have like my best friend Sophie. She may not be part of the queer community, but man, the way she allies for us,
Hey,
you'd think she was, man. She's louder and prouder than I am sometimes.
love that. We gotta have allies like that.
Yeah, but yeah, all of us in my friend group are a part of it in some way or another. We're all pretty different. Like me and my two closest best friends, Cassie and Lucas. It cracks me up. I call ourselves the Holy Trinity of queers, because of our nicknames and everything,
Yeah.
and just how we act. And we're pretty funny because I'm gothic, but I'm not. Like I'm still like I'll
Okay.
wear tie dye, but then also like all black the next day. And so I'm the golden retriever friend, and then Cassidy, she is the black cat friend. She only wears black. You'll never ever see her in anything else. And then there's Lucas, who we just call the queer, because he
Queer.
is the one that is just like I'm gonna wear this crop top and my demonias and these fishnets and these shorts, and I'm gonna go frolic around in some flowers. And it's
That's
beautiful.
nice.
I love them both with everything in my heart.
Love that. Love that. I think it is important to surround yourself with people that get it. Like They
Yeah.
identify with the same way, like you understand when you're out in public, some things. There's just like certain dynamics that
Yeah.
it's just easier.
And that is one thing I didn't realize was like kind of a big problem in my life for a while. And that stint of my life where I didn't have any other queer friends. I didn't have anybody in the community that were I was really friends with or I hung out with. I was just dating cisgendered men. And I felt very detached from who I was. And it was really just within the last year that I finally was like, you know what? I'm done with that. Like I'm done with these people that don't understand who I am and what I'm about. And I'm really tired of like kind of like masking who I am and covering up how like loud and proud I am to be, queer and um into, people of the same gender even and just being different. And I have felt so much better about my life and so much happier since. I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
It's always, I mean, it's amazing how much just, even just speak in your friend group a little bit will do, And
I
yeah, and I am the biggest advocate of, if somebody's not trying to grow with you and somebody's not suiting you, it's okay to walk away.
mhm.
Even if you've been friends with them for 10 years, if you guys aren't on the same road anymore, I mean, get off before you're in the ditch, man. Like,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's sad. I had that experience recently where I lost a really good friend of mine, and I don't even know why. It was just weird. It was weird, but I don't know. But I get it. Definitely just have to you keep moving forward, but when you find people, like it does make a big difference. Like you said, it makes a huge difference when you
it
find new
does.
people.
It makes a huge difference, and I will always be very thankful to my friend Shelby, because I found my current friend group by starting my job when I worked at Kansas Humane Society. And we all actually worked together there. And that is really where my growth started, was being in a work environment where, I mean, like 99% of that building was a part of the community in some way
Oh,
when we worked
nice.
there. So, I mean, just everywhere you turned, somebody was queer.
Yeah.
There were very few straight people in that workplace, and it worked out great. And I'm always super happy that we all work different jobs now. Only one of us still works there, but I'm very glad that we were able to all stay friends and stay so close and really help each other through so much the last couple years. But yeah, starting that job really did save my life from being like just, I mean, not having friends, just not doing anything. And now I am just so happy to be in the place I am where I'm, not just mental health wise, have a great therapist for myself, which I will always
Hey, amen.
please get yourself a good therapist, anybody and everybody. Um,
Yes.
but having a good therapist, being mentally stable for the first time in my life, and being able to have a good work life balance, and starting drag is really just great for me overall, just because it's not just a hobby for expression of like something I'm really passionate about. It's also something that, I get to do an art form of, I
Right.
don't know if anybody can tell from my background, but I'm in my art studio right now. So, art
Do
of
you
any
make
kind.
art? Do you make art and sell it or
I don't sell it. I hoard it for
yeah.
whatever reason. You come to my house, every painting in this house I've done myself. they
Okay,
they
okay.
cover the walls. But yeah, I do all kinds of art. I do pottery, ceramics, painting, acrylic, oil, and watercolor. Anything I can do, I do it pretty much.
Nice, nice. You're
So
just an
another art
artist all
form.
around.
I always have been. So yeah, I art of any kind. Also, obviously, tattoos. Like, I love being a human coloring book.
Nice, nice. You mentioned earlier how you are half Mexican. half Native American, but white passing. Do you feel
Yes.
like what's that like for you and how navigating that while also
Um,
being queer?
definitely been something I don't think of a lot. So I
Okay.
was adopted at birth. My arrangement to be adopted was done before I was born. I do
Oh.
thankfully know my birth family on one side. I do know my mother's birth family. She did pass away when I was a teenager, but I do know some of my aunts and uncles and grandparents on that side. Um, Unfortunately, nobody knows who my father was. She did unfortunately take that to her grave with her. So I have no idea. I had no idea I was anything but white until I was, I believe, like 19, and my mom thought it would be really fun for us to do the ancestry DNA thing. And it's really funny to me because when we did it, everybody took bets on what I was going to come out as, and everybody said Mexican. And I got like kind of defensive, and not like because I didn't want to be Mexican, but I just like didn't get it because they were like, "You're going to be a Mexican." And I was like, "What do you, I'm white. What are you talking about? Like, I'm really pasty. Like, what do you mean Mexican?" And it did come back. I'm like somewhere like 30 to 40% Mexican, and then like some other amount of Native American, and then half white of a million different like European white things. But that came back, and I was just like, oh my God, you guys were right. Okay. And I've kind of explored my Mexican heritage just a little bit, just via like Googling stuff, because it does show you like countries, and mine comes from really small part of Southern California, and then a big chunk of Chihuahua, Mexico. Um, and then my Native American comes from Oklahoma. So I haven't done much with the Native American. That's not something I've really ever looked into, especially not having the person that that side of my DNA comes from. I'm not sure what to do with it, kind of
Yeah. So your
thing.
mom was your mother, was she white?
She was white. Yeah, her whole
Okay.
family tree is white as can be. So it is very apparent from my DNA that all of anything else came from whoever my dad is. Yeah, I still to this day don't have any clue who that could be. Some of her friends had some, ideas once upon a time ago, but they were all really short little white guys. So once that DNA came back, we were like, that can't be him.
Yeah, right.
Like, and also because like me personally, I'm about 6 feet tall, so
Oh
I'm pretty
wow.
tall. My mom and her whole side of the family are kind of short. Everybody's about like 5'5" and under. I stick out like a sore thumb.
Do
I
you,
do have a birth sister that looks identical to me, but we still just
do
we
you
don't
guys
know.
talk?
We
You
do
and your
not,
sister?
unfortunately.
Oh,
I occasionally say hello to a couple of my family members, but we have differences in religion pretty hard, so it's definitely been a problem before. So.
yeah. So have you like with the Mexican side of your identity, you've explored that a little bit? Do you like are you ashamed to say that you're Mexican, or do you like have you just like been living
Yeah.
your life for 19 years as white passing, so
Yeah,
it just like never comes up? Or
yeah.
do
I
you
think with being white passing, I mean, like sadly, it comes with perks sometimes um, in the community. But also, I was raised by two white people, and then also by my stepdad, who is Japanese. So I have this really weird, like, mixture of values from kind of all of it.
okay. How has your stepfather accepted you in being queer?
Oh, no, no problems at all.
Good. Good, good, good.
With um, his child, his daughter, was the one that came out as trans in her about 40s, I believe. Um,
Hmm.
that for him took him a little time, understandably so, but he was always, as all my parents are, very open to learning. They always just, they want to learn. You don't, like, if they say something wrong, you don't got to be rude to them. You just got to be like, hey, it's this, just
Yeah.
correct them nicely, and they're willing to learn and understand it the best they can. And like, he years later now, is he raves and raves about his daughter Lana.
Yeah. That's
and he
awesome.
even and he's even really good about, like, even like old memories of her as a child. He's really good at being like, flipping the pronouns and stuff. And that took
Good.
him, I've watched his journey with that, and it took him some time, but like, I'm always really proud of him for being able to stand it the way he does, because I know other people in my family that are not as accepting and not as willing to learn and correct their ways. So,
Yeah. I think we all have those family members.
yeah.
When it comes to like you being adopted, have you ever felt like you wish that you got tapped into your other culture or your side or
I've always, now as a kid, I always wondered about my birth family a lot more, just because our family's general rule was you have to wait till you're 18 to meet your birth parents, which is
okay.
a pretty overall, I feel like, guideline for most people that are adopted, just because it can be hard and it is very confusing. So you should probably be a, a older age, to be able to
Mhm.
understand it. But mine was a little different. My parents worked at Wesley Hospital here, and they worked with my biological great aunt. So I always knew her as Aunt Nancy. I didn't understand, though, why we called her Aunt Nancy for a really long time, until I asked one day, and they were like, "Oh, that's your biological aunt." And I was like, "Oh, okay," because I knew she wasn't my dad's sister or my mom's sister. And my parents were always super open about, like, always telling me, like, "Hey, you're adopted." If I asked where I came from,
Okay.
they
Okay.
they
I was
would
gonna
tell
ask
me.
that. Okay.
Yeah, they would tell me. They never hid it. They never wanted to. They would, "Hey, where'd I come from?" Another lady. And my mom would always sugarcoat it a little bit better. She'd always tell me an angel brought me to her, which is true. My mom was an angel. But yeah, my birth mom had definitely some struggles. She was pretty young. Like, I believe I was about 14 when she passed, and she passed at the age of 35. So, she was pretty young when she had me. She already had one child that I believe she was staying with our grandparents already. So my mom couldn't take care of us. And it just so happened that my Aunt Nancy, that worked with my parents at Wesley here in Wichita, they'd already adopted my older sister Nikki 8 years prior. And so my Aunt Nancy went up to them and said, "Hey, do you want another kid?" And my parents were like, "You know what? Yeah." And they drove to La Crosse, Kansas, and met my birth mom, and would go to sonograms and stuff. And then on June 24th, 1998, in the middle of a hailstorm, my parents drove from Wichita to Hayes to come pick up me, who had just been born. And I've been with them since. And then when I was
Okay.
about 8, I got to meet my birth family, like my birth mom and my birth sister, and it was definitely a weird experience. It's a weird thing to know that that is your blood relative and you should be comfortable with them, but they are a complete stranger. So it's a really weird thing for a kid. But I am really grateful that I had that time with my birth mom and had that time to at least get to know her to some extent. Um, Versus, if I would have waited till I was 18, I would have never met her at all. So,
Right. Yeah. And just like seeing your birth parent like maybe gave you some clarity of like who you look like or you said your
yeah,
sister looks exactly like you so
yeah,
like
it was really weird, because there's this thing with adopted kids that, like, if you're carrying around a baby, right, and you're like mom and dad carrying a baby, strangers will pick out, like, "Oh, you have your dad's nose, or you have your mom's eyes, or face shape," and it's actually, your face can adjust to your parents that are raising you. And so it was always really funny to me though as I got a little bit older and I outgrew both of my parents in height by like fifth grade. And I had, this dark, thick, almost black brown hair and was, I'm thick, I'm a thick person and I have, two parents that have pretty light colored hair and they're pretty short and so people be like, "Oh, you look like your dad." And I'm like, "No, I don't." Since when?
Where? Where?
So it was really
Uh,
nice meeting them that I was like, "Wow, I look like I have your face." That's crazy. Um,
yeah. And you took that I'm too scared to do that ancestry DNA thing. I'm just like I don't want them to take my I don't want them to have my DNA. I don't know. It's just weird to me. But since you've
I don't
taken
know.
that, have has anything else like popped up? Like cuz when people constantly do it, like family
Yeah.
members join and you're connected, your cousin, your aunt, all
hmm
that stuff.
I check it on occasion. It does give you
Hmm.
email updates if you like DNA match with somebody. Unfortunately, I've learned with the Ancestry one, I don't know if any of the other brands are any different, but there are like spam connections that you'll get all the time. It'll be like, this is your, biological 34th cousin. And it's like, no, it's not. That's just a random, like, nobody person. And it won't even be like a profile or anything. It'll just be like user 2,500. And I'm like, that's not.
See. See? Yeah. That's
So I'm
why.
like, I don't, I don't check it all that often. Now, if it like pops up with like, I see the email and it has somebody's like actual name, I'll look at it. But they've all come back from just my mom's side. So I've not
Okay.
had a single connection from my dad's side. So I'm not sure.
Well, you signed up for a living. It's going to continue to grow, so it might be
Yeah.
years from now. But so you never know.
Yeah.
As soon as
I
it
might be
happens,
60.
and they're from Hayes, Kansas. Then, huh? Like you're not.
I was
You were
born in Hayes,
raised.
Kansas.
Okay.
But again, that was just because that was the closest hospital. My birth mom and birth family are from La Crosse and Great Bend.
Okay.
So that was just the nearest hospital that they drove to, and then both of my parents, they immediately brought me back to Wichita, and I've been here since. They were both born and raised here as well. So
Have you got to explore? Do you travel? Do you get out of Kansas and you don't?
not not really ever, no.
Really?
I
So
wish I
you've
did.
only seen Wichita, Kansas, really?
For the most part, yeah. I mean, I the farthest I've gone is Eugene, Oregon.
Well, that's pretty damn far.
That is pretty far. That was a great trip. Other than that, though, I have been to Colorado for less than 24 hours for a concert. So I've not even seen the mountains in Colorado or really been to Colorado that meant all that much. I go to Oklahoma like every summer, but like Oklahoma is pretty much just Kansas.
Right.
And then I've been to like Branson, Missouri a couple times and Arkansas. So
Valerie, Valerie, you gotta get out more. You gotta get out
me
more.
too. I,
You think and you and the what the your two friends Lucas
and Cassidy, yeah,
and
we need to
Cassidy,
get
y'all
it.
need to
We
book a
need to get
trip
it. We
because
do.
you gotta
I
go
was just,
explore.
I was just telling them. I think it was like last week that I found a Margaritaville in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I know that's still Oklahoma, but I was like, guys, we got to go to Margaritaville
I
just to
just
get out of here.
for real. I just started and finished Tulsa King. I don't know if you even heard of that show.
I'm not.
It's a show on Paramount Plus, but after watching it, I was like, I've never even been to Tulsa. It's right down the
It's
street. I mean, I've
cool.
been to Oklahoma City, but I don't know why I haven't been to Tulsa. So I was like, I
Yeah,
need to make my way over there too.
Tulsa a couple times. I have an aunt on my dad's side that lives in right outside of Oklahoma City. So I spent my summers with her growing up. So I know Oklahoma pretty good, and I still make it a point to go see her, or try to once a summer, just to keep that nostalgia going.
Yeah. See if anything has changed.
Yeah, and it never does. But I mean, well,
Yeah.
I take that back. Weed was legalized there, and that's pretty
Oh,
freaking
that's
interesting.
hey, you know what? You know what? Yes, that is very true. And
I'm
Missouri.
like,
Just everywhere around
yeah,
Kansas but Kansas.
yeah.
Colorado.
I have a best friend that lives in Missouri, and she moved back there a couple years ago, and she always makes like funny jokes, and she'll be like, "Why don't you just go to the dispensary?" And I'm like, "Cause I live in Kansas, Megan." And she'll be like, "I forgot. I'm sorry." And I'm
You can
like,
go to the
"Yeah,
CBD shop. The CBD shop.
yeah.
They're
Let me
pretty much
go.
selling that.
Let
It's
me go
pretty
get my
much that
Delta
these
8."
days. Yeah, Delta 8. All right, Valerie. I appreciate you coming on here to Queen Talk though for me. Like this is
Yeah,
pretty
no
pretty dope.
problem. Yeah, I
I
appreciate it.
again shout out Elliot. Two
Yes.
coming from Elliot now.
Mhm.
Hopefully the word continues to spread. I'm trying to get this out here. I got remote now, so I'm trying to get more remote so people see that I
Yeah.
have it, and it makes it more convenient for people and for me to be honest.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, if you can just sit down with your AirPods and your iPhone and, have a conversation
exactly.
for an hour, that's perfect.
Exactly. And yeah, so hopefully people pick up on it and start reaching out. But what would you like to leave the audience with today?
I would just like to tell everybody to, first of all, follow me on any socials to, if you want to see me perform in drag when that comes about. I would take any queer friends as well. So, but other than that, everybody be yourself, please, and love yourself and others, because, I know hate and love equally cost nothing to do, but man, it takes way more energy to hate somebody than it does to love people. So,
Yes, I know that's right. Yes, that's why I'm always like, love, be nice, because it is like we all go through our own troubles, and we're all dealing
hmm
with something mentally, and just life be life, and sometimes so to just have strangers just
yeah,
hate on you, or having your family on top of what you're going through hate on you, it's already going through
exactly.
enough. So you just
There's
tell a
no
stranger,
reason.
yeah, just lift strangers up and family up rather than tear them down. That's why I like it. So,
Exactly.
but yeah.
Yep, I agree.
But yeah, again, thank you for coming on here. You guys see these shirts now? I got merch, so make sure you guys get some merch. I will be at a
Yes.
couple events. My next event will be Juneteenth. That is June 15th at McAdams. I'll be there like all day from like 11 to 9 p.m. So make sure you guys come out and support. Valerie, again, thank you so much for
Thank
joining me. Like
you.
your story is gonna resonate with a lot of people. I feel like just being a fab and just figuring yourself out and the dynamics and just leaning into it and not rushing it, but just letting it be and just figuring it out and
Yeah,
not running from it. So I thank you for
yeah.
coming on here and sharing your story with me today.
Thank you. I appreciate the honor to come on here and tell my story. I always say that, I will trauma dump and tell my story all day if it helps at least one person.
Exactly. And that's what Queen talks about is just like sharing stories and experiences for understanding of other people. Like when people listen to this and they can connect, or any takeaways from this that they can lean into their life. Maybe it's a family friend or stranger. So
Yeah.
that's what it's about. But you
So,
guys, as always, it's been great. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, that like button. If you want to be a guest on Queen Talk, make sure you fill out the form below. If you have any questions for the guests that you want to ask anonymously, I don't take any information. Please click the link below. Ask your questions anonymously. You might be scared to ask it, but I'm not. So make sure to do that. As always, y'all, family, friends, strangers, love. Yeah, be nice.